also known as the Jim McCarthy Voiceovers World Headquarters Studio. This is the JMVO Weekly Primer. Please subscribe, rate, and comment via jimmccarthyvoiceovers.com/podcast. This is the JMVO Weekly Primer, episode number 30. This podcast is about making your life better through marinating your mind in good stuff. My name is Jim McCarthy, owner, operator, and chief bottle washer at jimmccarthyvoiceovers.com. I believe that as business owners, entrepreneurs, and overall salespeople, we are bombarded by negativity every single day, and it's the last thing we need. If you want to see your life and business change for the better, I would suggest consume nurturing good stuff. So throwback to 1999. I'm going to a gym with a good friend of mine, and he convinced me to start working out. And he starts telling me about this movie that's out there. And he says that the transformations that these people are making in 12 weeks are nothing short of staggering. So I'm starting to look into it, and I start watching this movie, and I instantly was just floored. And I was saying to myself, man, if these people could make transformations like this in 12 weeks, what's stopping me? And my why at the time, at age 23, 24 years old, was to stop being a pudgy kid that I considered myself to be. And I wanted to see my six-pack for the first time. And I'm going to bring on the man that actually kind of really inspired me and led me to that place to get me, well, at that point, to that place, doing that competition, the Body for Life competition. I did it 3 times in a row. A championship bodybuilder, an entrepreneur, one of the best ones that America has ever seen. He's built one of the biggest companies in fitness that you could ever come across, been the publisher of one of the biggest magazines out there. He's a filmmaker. He's an author. I mean, what haven't you done, Mr. Bill Phillips? Thank you for being on.
Hey, Jim, thanks for having me around. I had my 30 poster up there. I was giving you a little sign for up to 30 because that's the big you make it to 30 programs, you're getting pretty good at it.
Thank you very much. After 30, I should get better at it at some point, hopefully.
What haven't I done yet? I haven't gotten old yet. And I tell people right here, and I'm telling anybody who watches this chit chat in our conversation, is that you don't have to get old just because you're aging. And that's now where we get the fitness back in the picture, because we used to do it just for the body,
Mm-hmm.
Get
the guns.
Now we got to do it for the health. And I think that if anybody wants to be an entrepreneur, want to be enjoying life over 45, over 50, 60, 65, 60, 75, we're going to auction up people's ages. You got to have energy and you got to have your health. And so we teach people to be healthy, build a body, take care of themselves, and they can have the energy to be successful in their business and successful in their, in their service commitments and in their church, and successful in their living.
Yeah.
We used to call it Body for Life. Now we call it Body for Living.
Yeah. And it's that's everything that led up to this. Start from the beginning. And I always unpack the stories leading up to where we are, the good, bad, and the ugly, the warts and all. The big thing that really kind of stuck out to me is that at some age, very early in your life, you really had a hunger and a fire to not only be a championship bodybuilder, but man, you built a hell of a business as well along the way.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because I ended up writing, but I've never considered myself a writer. And I did the magazines, and I did some books. The Body for Life book was a big success. People might be have seen the cover of the book. The Body for Life book just came out of my interest to communicate this message that I was really passionate about. And I became passionate about working out and, being healthy and kind of a interesting route.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 9 years old, I was playing Little League football. And I was the only kid in the whole team that loved doing the push-ups and the sit-ups and the calisthenics and the sprinting. more than the football games. So by the second year, my coach decided, he goes, Phillips is teaching exercise. He's teaching calisthenics. And he goes, you lead the team through that. So I got my first job as an exercise coach when I was about 9 years old. And it just kind of stuck. I love leading the guys through push-ups and sit-ups and calisthenics. And I knew that there was this reward in strengthening your body. And I actually enjoyed that as my sport. Even though I played football for 10 years, I got just really hooked on exercise. Then, as you might imagine, I got into strength training and powerlifting and bodybuilding contests. And only to find out, I think that the training side and the nutrition side of bodybuilding was good, but there was a lot of guys back in the 80s using a lot of steroids.
Yeah. And
it was a really unhealthy lifestyle. And I kind of got to a certain point in that lifestyle, and I said, man, is this the direction you want to go, or do you want to pick another route? And I kind of had to make this decision at just 19, 20 years old that this was not going to be a good outcome if I went down this path. Now I'm 54. I can look back and say, man, I'm glad I did, huh? I'm glad I didn't. But I came back. I was living in Venice, California, pursuing bodybuilding, and I thought, dang, if I'm going to be successful at this, I'm going to have to do the X Games of bodybuilding, the extreme, where it was just everything was about gaining muscle at any price. And so I really had my first epiphany back then, and I kind of got an activist's mind about it. Because what I said was, there's a lot of other guys that are going to go down this path, and maybe they don't know already that, you can do it without the steroids, without that extreme commitment, and you can do it in a healthy way. So I came back to Colorado and started going to medical school, Jim. And I wanted to be a doctor and teach people how to build muscle the right way. And I got to medical school, and I realized I didn't have the money to go to medical school. So I started teaching exercise and writing about my programs and writing about muscle building in a little newsletter. And I had a mail order business at night, and I had a medical study, medical school, pre-med courses in the daytime. And I really enjoyed it. I just became a teacher, really. And I eventually realized that, you know what, if I become a doctor, sports medicine doctor, I really am only going to be allowed to work with people once they get sick. And I thought, well, what would be better is if you could help people before they get sick. And if you could help them get fit before they get sick, if you could help them get well before they get sick. And so I said, well, maybe there's an opportunity through fitness and coaching and training and vitamins and teaching people how to eat right, that you could kind of heal some of these conditions before they become illnesses. And it was a really interesting position I took, and I just started teaching people about how if you want to build your body the right way, you can do this. But you got to understand there's a wrong way, and nobody was talking about that. And now in sports, football, Olympics, and even in bodybuilding, people are very aware that at some level of performance, you're using, a lot of pharmaceutical bodybuilding drugs, and it's not the right way. And people now have a choice because they're informed. But I had a chance to look at that right up close, and I picked a certain path. And I'm really glad that if I look back at that 19-year-old, 20-year-old Bill Phillips, that I was able to make that decision then, because it changed everything for me. And today we still try to teach people the healthy way to incorporate fitness and weightlifting and eating, not dieting, into their program. But through that period of time, that's been my one main passion, is helping people exercise. I started that when I was 9 years old in Little League football, and today I still love it, man. I teach an exercise class live every night, and we teach group weightlifting, and it's my favorite thing. I figure I can do that like Jack LaLanne until I'm 96. And Jack LaLanne lived until he died. He lived right up until the last minute before he passed away. And I'd imagine he'd be like, come on,
Yes.
2 more.
Well, you've had a tremendous, powerful why, and we hear, the power of why these days. And I heard you talk about it in the video you shared. Without the why, we've really got nothing. It's tough to keep a commitment. So a lot of that why transpired into building a mega multi-million-dollar business with all the products you put out there. I mean, it's not just with the bodybuilding and helping people. I mean, you did a lot of amazing stuff at an early age.
Yeah, we in my 20s, I was going to medical school, and I was writing about fitness and strength training, and I met a doctor who was doing some research in clinical nutrition. And ironically, the medical industry had been getting a lot of pressure to get out of using steroids on even hospital patients who were wasting. Mm-hmm. And this was following the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, where a guy named Ben Johnson got busted for using steroids. And it became a huge political issue, and the FDA even cracked down on hospitals and doctors using these medicines. And so it's a kind of an interesting path back there in the 80s, but that 1988 Seoul Olympics opened up this huge opportunity for somebody to say, hey, look, here's a natural way to get that performance advantage. And a doctor that was working on that research at Stanford and Hogan Memorial Hospital in Newport, California, named Dr. Conley, he contacted me, and he liked my research, and he needed the training component. And we started working together on a project, and we were looking at how do you help people that are critically ill or that have been injured or have had a heart transplant. That once they get in the hospital, they start losing muscle and strength and immune strength, and they start getting malnutrition, they start getting sick from being in the hospital. So his research was, how do you help these people get out of the hospital faster? And it was paid for by an insurance company who had a big gain. If you could help somebody get out of the hospital a half day faster over a year, it's billions of dollars.
Interesting.
And we proved that through certain protein moieties and fractions and peptides and certain medicinal proteins or clinical nutrition proteins, that you can help people that are recovering from injury and burns and illness and transplant surgery. You can help them recover faster, get out of the hospital, get strong again. We submitted that research, and you would think that the insurance company and the contact food company, they made a bunch of that stuff and got everybody healthy. They didn't. They just put it on the shelf and racked it and kept selling people high sugar, high fat Ensure products. Well, I had this science, this technology, and that's where my business acumen, I guess, kind of came in, because I said, look, doctor, all these bodybuilders, all these football players, all these Olympic athletes, they're injuring their body on purpose with exercise, and the ability to recover is the ability to get bigger, faster, stronger. I said, why don't you let me test it out with these athletes? And he was very hesitant. He goes, I don't want to be seen as a snake oil salesman. And I said, this is the real deal. We got the research. We took clinical nutrition and put it in sports and fitness. That was in 1990 with a product called Metrex, which is called metabolic prescription. We did a study with the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington, Texas. And that was when Jimmy Johnson was the coach. Mm-hmm. And we had guys like Mark Stepnowski and Leon Lett and Gerald Johnston come into training camp overweight. They needed to get really fit, really fast. We put them in this study, measured their body composition at the Cooper Clinic over there in Dallas. And no one could believe the changes they were making through a natural, protein, clinical nutrition supplement. And so I said, let me take this out to bodybuilders and fitness people. I did, and we made a business that went from $1 million the first year to $70 million the fourth year. We had no distribution intelligence. We had no SKUs. We just had one 20 packet, 20 serving, and it's plain flavor.
Bootstrapping, man. Gotta love it.
And so it really showed me a lot about that if you bring science to this field with fitness and working out, that you got the real advantage, because a lot of it's just kind of poker science or hype. And so after I was with Metrex for 4 years, I found the opportunity to bring this product, creatine monohydrate, to the fitness world. And with the company EAS that I had 100% ownership by 95. And I built EAS up, to where we were doing $150 million by 99. Mm-hmm. And we just had a few basic products. We had a Metrex-like protein, clinical nutrition protein product called Myoplex. Mm-hmm. And we had some creatine products and a few other novel nutrients that were kind of bridged from science into fitness clinical nutrition, working in sports nutrition. And it was a big hit. And so throughout the 90s, we were bringing science to fitness and to sports and muscle building. And it was the most wonderful time. And we made that movie, Body of Work. We wrote the book, Body for Life. And it became the golden era of fitness.
I mean, getting back to the EAS products and everything, I mean, a lot of those did you envision that success for that product when you started rolling it out? Was it?
No, not at all. Right. Not at all. I knew that I had if I could understand the science, and I was my own lab rat. So if through working out and taking these supplements and eating healthy, if I could feel the difference and measure the difference, then I would bring it out and I'd say, look, you guys got to try this. I think it's going to work for you like it worked for me. And it was just one athlete, one fitness guy talking to another. And it was something kind of new, because usually we had Joe Weider up here speaking through intermediaries who may or may not have been using steroids and selling supplements. And then down to the consumer. But I would just straight, from me to the friends that were reading my magazine and watching my videos. And I said, I think this works. You got to try it. Try it for a month. If it worked for you, I'll give you your money back. But it's really working for me. And I can feel the difference. And we would try all kinds of stuff, but we only recommend about 5-6 supplements. And anytime you get results, you get better workout. The key about fitness, and the key about even business, and the key about anything that an adult stays focused on, is you got to feel like you're getting there. You got to feel like you're making a difference. You got to feel like you're succeeding or you're mastering it. And that's the motivation that becomes intrinsic. Outside, you can get motivated for getting results from your workouts. You start to realize, hey, this supplement helps you get better results faster from your workouts, keeps you more motivated. And so I think a lot of people worked out harder because they just had that little extra edge.
They were hungrier. They were getting, they had the added fuel to the fire.
It's hard to keep an adult motivated if they don't feel like they're getting anywhere. If you keep running a mile and it just keeps getting 12 minutes, 10 seconds, 12 minutes, 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I'm not any good at this. But when it comes to people getting in shape, everybody can do it.
I remember there was a time doing the Body for Life Challenge, the first go around that I did. It was about week number 3 that I really noticed a lot of changes happening for me. Then again, I was 24, 25 years old. So if I just started moving in general, I would probably just, lose 40 pounds. But I mean, the structured weight lifting component of it, the nutrition, which is what I really needed because I had no idea.
Right.
And to this day, my wife could attest to this. She's like, yeah, you have no idea how to eat. But, this is,
you got to put it all together at once.
Yeah.
You got to put it all together at once.
But it's funny, your passion for the product truly drove the growth of the business. You wanted it. It was just, my God, you got to try this. You got to try this. Look how great, just how fast you're able to land back on your feet and repair your body and keep on going.
A lot of people forget that part of the science is that working out is meant to initiate a chain reaction that allows the body to rebuild and kind of adapt and become more metabolically efficient, more cardiovascularly efficient, and look a little bit leaner, a little bit stronger every workout. But if you don't have the right nutrients and the right metabolic sequences happening after the workout, you don't really benefit from it. So a lot of people think, I hit the workout, and it's not that way. Athletes who really know what they're doing know that the workout is stimulate, don't annihilate yourself, stimulate, and then feed the recovery process with the right protein moieties and right. There's certain proteins that act very, very different than chicken breast and steak.
Mm-hmm.
There's some medicinal proteins that really help intervene in the muscle recovery and protein synthesis process. And I got lucky. I learned about that in 1990 from a doctor who was doing it clinically to save people's lives in Hoag Memorial Hospital in Stanford. And I've known that ever since. And so I've used that kind of that scientific advantage to help people get results, whether they're, just trying to get in shape at 50, mm-hmm. or whether they're trying to make the Olympics at 22. We know that there's a big difference that happens for every body, but exercise is the stimulus, and then recovery. Every professional athlete, every really good athlete knows that recovery is just as much work as the workout. And if you have just kind of a layperson thinks I have do my workout and then have some Gatorade and I'm all set. And it's just not the way it works. You got to put the 1 and the 2 punch in, and then Body for Life. I started to introduce that and really tell people. Here's the thing too, Jim. I think that people forget that every athlete, every bodybuilder, myself is, obviously, we all have the potential to get out of shape. and in between my EAS days, and today, I went through a really hard time. I had an accident. Mm-hmm. I was 47 years old. I'd had the advantage of being strong most of my life. And I played 10, get this. I played 10 years of football. I skied up here in the Colorado Rocky Mountains, moguls since I was 7 years old. I played tackle football in the park, with no pads. I never did so much as spraying an ankle. And I was walking down the stairs at my new home in Los Angeles, and I slipped on the stairs, and I fell, and I tore my quadricep tendons off my kneecaps. I was literally paralyzed. Literally paralyzed. And I spent a whole summer, this was a few years ago, in a hospital bed, wheelchair, and I just watched my body atrophy. And I'd pick up my arm and you'd see just where the muscle goes. Mm-hmm. In a week, you lose 20% of your lean body mass through atrophy. In a month of inactivity, you lose 50% of your body's muscle mass. And inactivity is devastating. Yeah. And so anybody who's been in shape before, been doing Body for Life, they can all relate to where I was, because I had stopped working out for a few months. I was in a wheelchair, and then I got up to a walker. And as one day I looked in the mirror and I looked in the mirror and looked up, and I literally couldn't even recognize myself. And see if I can I got a halfway photo of myself here.
I remember reading the story, and yeah.
See, you look at one side, that's me fit, and the other side is where I was.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
It's amazing, and you're absolutely right. I remember reading the story, and I felt for you, man.
Body fell.
Mm-hmm.
I gained 30 pounds of weight. I lost muscle. And the thing is that you got to realize we're all the same. Whether somebody's got, it looks like, hey, he's got great genetics. Well, you got great genetics. But my body looks the same as everybody else's. My body was sagging. I had a big belly. I had soft, skinny bones sticking out. And I was like, oh, man. And that was when it really hit me. I looked in the mirror and I go, Bill, man, you're just like everybody else. And in a way, it was kind of a relief. because I knew it's just like, you're not special. Your muscles, your body fat, your brain, just like everybody else. And so it was very emotional and very humbling. And I was 47 years old. I looked in the mirror and I go, is this me? He was kind of looking like my dad when he was in his 50s. And I was like, I'm just old. I'm old, and I was old. And I realized, I said, I got to do what everybody else does. I got to get a picture. I got to set some goals. I got to start by cleaning out. I got to start by disconnecting myself from the stuff that was feeding this, because I was eating for depression. I was eating for pain relief. And man, I couldn't take the pain pills, that people are real popular today. They just made me want to come out of my skin. But I put ice on my knees and cream right here, man. So I had ice and ice cream, a 2-prong formula, and ice cream, lasagna and spaghetti, hot pizza were painkillers. I couldn't believe that I was eating in a way that made no sense. I didn't give a dang about 12-week goals, 1-year goals. I was just like, I have one objective: get out of pain now. And food was my go-to. And I had to realize that it might work for 10 minutes, but 10 hours later, much less 10 days later, it was what was causing the pain now. So I had a chance to get real humble, real emotional, and realize that I got to do the same thing everybody else does. Went down to my kitchen, started throwing away the stuff that was making me fat, And I realized that, I couldn't wait 12 weeks or 6 months to get back to a strong body. I was still learning how to use my legs again. It took me a year before I could really get the neuro retraining, the neuro rehab into these muscles in this knee to where I could walk again. And so I said, I can't wait 6 months to start feeling good again. So I had to start feeling good now about something. So every time I had a healthy meal, oatmeal and egg whites, every time I even did some Frankenstein curls, I'd lean back on my legs in braces and I'd do like 10 curls with 10 pounds. I said, man, that's progress. And I really learned to break it down. Not 12 weeks, not a year, and not 6 months, and not even a week. It's what can I do right now that this time tomorrow I'll be looking back at and saying, I'm glad I did that. Instead of looking back and saying, well, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Because every time we eat, when we're trying to get fit, we regret it. We eat the wrong stuff. Every time that we set a goal or a daily action step and we miss it, it takes a toll on us. So I started thinking, I want to be healthy and fit and strong, but what can I do between now and this time tomorrow that I'll look back and be glad about? I had to rebuild my self-esteem one little bit at a time, rebuild my confidence one little bit at a time. And the whole time I said this humble, kind of courageous mantra. I said, I'm just like everybody else. Nothing special. If they can do it, I can do it. See, the thing is, I've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people right in front of me looking at each other like you and I are right now, make the incredible change. Just make incredible changes. And I knew they could do it, I could do it. They could do it, I could do it, because I'm just like everybody else. Whereas if you keep thinking you're special, you think, well, I must need a special program, or I'm going to need some special vitamin, and one of my mentors, he said, yeah, damn right, you're special, just like everybody else.
Yeah. But being back in the Body for Life, Body of Work days, personal branding wasn't even a term back then, but you really did have that going. You became quite an inspirational figure, and if you had to, I'm a marketer. I learned marketing and radio from years ago, and I always describe him like, whenever you would come up in conversation, I said, you know what? The guy has hit the trifecta. He's got the product, he's got the magazine, he's got the book. If anything, the quadfecta. He's got the movie, you know what I mean? And he's inspiring people to make better changes for their life. How did they react? I mean, because I know how I reacted when I found the news and I caught up with you after all those years, because I was I'll be the first to admit I fell off the bandwagon with Body for Life when I moved to Las Vegas for radio, and life took over, got married, and things just happened, and here we are. But I really, when I found out about the leg injury, I felt bad. I was like, you were like a long lost friend to me. And I was like, oh man. But I mean, what was the general reaction from a lot of the fan base that you had?
Well, I think that's where it really becomes very humbling, is because you really start to see that the support and the belief in each other, that it was actually reciprocal. And, just a lot of people that I hadn't heard from in forever, or never directly heard from, were just saying, hey man, you can keep your chin up. I've got certain sayings: keep your chin up even when you're lifting, when you're not lifting. Stronger than you think. If I can do it, you can do it, and you got the power to change no matter what your circumstance. You'd never be put in a situation where you were unable to make a resilient comeback. And so they were all saying these things to me, and it felt very authentic. It really edified me. And at a time when you were not thinking so much about muscles or tendons or ligaments, but thinking about heart and soul, depression and motivation and mindset. When your mind is set in the wrong direction, how do you get your mind set in the right direction? So a lot of that is psychology and emotion, but it was just people reaching out, making their best effort to lift me up, because I had always said, God, what's the best thing about being strong, energetic, having a good grip on your life? I said, is that you'll be able to have the strength to reach out, lift other people up. And they were doing that with me. And so it was just humbling, and I had to open my heart, because you can't be so proud that you can't accept it, because a gift of support and encouragement is like any other gift. And a gift isn't a gift when it's given. A gift is a gift when it's received. Mm-hmm. And so the reciprocal energy and strength that comes back and forth between people like you and I happens when one person gives support and the other person says, thank you. I really need that. It lift me up. And I had the literal example, because I was in a hospital bed. I couldn't even get up to wash my hair or go to the shower or anything. So it was everything. It was like, will you help me with this? Can you get that for me? Thanks for bringing me this. You couldn't do anything, so you had to start asking for 6 months. I had to depend on, helpful people, and you had to say it. Can you help me with that? Can you get that for me? And you had to let go of the guilt about, being an acceptor of strength and help. And for somebody like me, who's kind of a rugged individualist and had been on the other end of that equation for so long, it really was a transformation, And I fell down those stairs and I heard these knees snap. It was like 6 loud pops like firecrackers. And I knew, man, I just either broke my legs or ripped my tendons off. And there's a little saying I have that said that your higher self will throw you off a cliff if that's what's needed to get your attention.
Yeah, and it's what do you think? I mean, what needed to get your attention at the time? Do you think? I mean, it sounds like a godly wake up call in a way. That happened.
Yeah. And the other thing is that what did I learn from it? I learned that as I started to come back, I learned that weightlifting, holding those weights and doing those workouts, tremendous painkiller itself. And mood brightener and antidepressant. As soon as I got those weights back in my hand, I sort of feel good and feel capable. It wasn't so much that I was getting in great shape every week. It was that I was getting to be able to do more and move more. So I really said, man, I have completely new appreciation and empathy and care for people that are stuck in a chair or in a hospital bed or that are rebuilding from the ground up. And I started to realize that as I was going through this, I said, I'm kind of getting tired of working with all these celebrities and athletes. I mean, they're doing fine, And I always wanted to be a doctor. Like I said, doctor is going to help a person that is when they're down, when their health is on the line. And I realized that there's a lot of people out there who've also had adversity, who've also had an injury, or who just took their eye off the ball and life got in the way. And I said, well, if I can show the guy out there who's 40 plus, 45 or 50 or more, and I said, if I can show them that it can be done, then I'm going to be their, I want to be their teacher, and I want to help them do it. So I started to envision getting out of LA where I lived, and I was trying to build TV shows and work in entertainment like you've got so much history in.
You've got a lot more than me, my friend.
Nowadays, entertainment's wherever you are.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a story to tell or got content. It's got a pathway.
Absolutely.
Back then, you used to have to be in LA to get your story out. Gatekeepers were all at the networks and then cable. Now it's not like that. But I thought, what would be important for me is to do this and get through this and learn my lessons and take my medicine or exercise and goals, and then come back and show people that, look, we're not going to win in any bodybuilding contests or strength contests. We're not going to make the Olympics. But if you want to get your health back and you want to get your body back and you want to get a body for living, do what I did. And I was doing physical therapy at a place in Colorado with a friend of mine who used to work for the Denver Broncos when I was there doing nutrition. And I said, hey, man, can you help me? I need to learn how to walk again. And I finally got back to Colorado, and I stayed at a hotel, and I came up to a center every day, and there was other people there recovering from shoulder injuries or back injuries or, doing sports rehab on their knees. And I had people to talk to about it, what it was like for them, and that community became important. And then I started to make some progress there, and I started, I thought maybe I'll get back in shape in 12 weeks. It took me 6 months. First lesson of being over 45, getting back in shape.
Yeah.
A little longer. But I was happy. Took me 6 months. I got back on my feet, and then that sports medicine clinic closed down, and they moved to another location. And I showed up one day, and it was empty, and I thought, this is where I did my transformation. Got back on my feet. I said, why don't I take this and put some weights in there, make it a Body for Life workout center, Bill Phillips Transformation Center. And this is where I'm sitting right now. This is the sports medicine room where I did my recovery, did my transformation. And you can see we got we got all stars up here on the wall, and we just got weights and benches, and we've had now in 7 years, 6 years and 10 months, we've had 3,000 people come through our program, and every single one of them has got. I mean, when every single one of them succeeds at all, it's just like I think to myself when I'm driving home, man, I sure am glad I fell down those stairs because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I said that was the best adversity I ever had. So I tell people too, I said, be careful that your best adversity or your worst adversity might become your biggest blessing. And you got all these before and after pictures up on the wall.
You included.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Like everybody else. And we have had people come back from cancer and heart disease and, life-threatening addictive habits around food and type 2 diabetes. We have seen a lot of really miraculous people, transformations. And I always say, hey, if you want to send me a thank you, thank me for falling down the stairs. And I've got a stack of cards like this high. Hey, thanks for falling down the stairs, Bill. Because I wouldn't have come back to Colorado or wouldn't have got into this. And if I hadn't gotten knocked down and beat up, bloody and bruised, I wouldn't have been on this path,
And it really kind of reinvented who you are, and you have a comeback story. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, before I even entertained this podcast with you, I was telling my wife, I'm like, I am not the example of Body for Life. I did I was, and then, life got in the way and all these things just kind of happened. I'm like, I just remember my why was powerful back then. That's what drove me to get up every morning and do it. And I just lost what that was. It's been consumed by other things. I'm
age now.
What's that?
What's your age now?
I'm 43.
So your body's going to respond a little bit slower than it did at 23. But if you want to do it, I'll guarantee you going through it, and I could check in with you every 2 weeks, and I could send you exactly the same thing that people get that come to our camp, and we could watch you go through this transformation right and into the new year. By the time New Year's hits, you're going to have some great progress already. But I'd give yourself 6 months. And the most important thing that I realized is that back when we did Body for Life, we all wanted the abs and the muscles, and we were like, body, body, body. And it was ironic that with Body for Life, we picked a healthy way to do that, because there's other, as I said, when I was younger, I discovered there's a lot of unhealthy ways to get the body built up and look like a great athlete, but you could be very sick. So I said, we picked a way to build a body that was accidentally healthy. But now we pick a way to get healthy. The side effect is that it builds a better body. Mm-hmm. So we're really looking at Health for Life. We look at the new Body and Health for Life plan, and it's very much like Body for Life. We just do a little bit faster paced exercise so that we can lift lighter and do more cardiovascular work with the weights. Less concern about building, through heavy lifting like we did with bodybuilding and Body for Life. Using weights more to pump the muscles and also pump up the heart and lungs. Mm-hmm. And, if you got a place you don't even need a place to work out. You need 2 dumbbells.
Right.
And you should do it. And one of the things is that when you get over 40 or you get to a certain point in your life, you realize that things that I would have done, my why might have been went in a car or getting to the beach looking great. I mean,
my why was to get to go to the gym in Colorado and possibly win the car. Or it ended at was it $100,000 each or something like, or $10,000 each.
We had a lot of prizes back then. We kind of change as we get older, and I think that the most important thing for me that I kind of got angry at myself when I looked in the mirror. I was like, God dang, gosh darn it, I don't want to do this. This is not the way I'm going to do this. But then I started to doubt, is this age? Mm-hmm. And then I said, well, I kind of got started out of frustration. And you can get started from frustration, desperation.
You get tired of it. Yeah.
But I think that at some point, the intrinsic motivation or inspiration has to come alive. And that's where you keep saying, what about your reason? What about your reason?
Right.
Well, I said about halfway through this, I said, you know what? There's other guys out there that have broken their leg or have gotten a shoulder injury or back injury or have had adversity. Or just a broken spirit like me. I mean, I didn't have any physical, abnormalities. I just lost my oomph. Yeah. Right. Like, and you kind of end up investing or spending your time in things that don't really edify. And we look ways we can start to get invested in what we're doing and get a return. And I'll tell you right now, what was so obvious is that anybody's got a family or anybody who's got, some, if you do this, I guarantee you, there are going to be many guys watching you. They're going to say, dang it, man, it worked for him. I'm going to do it. And so by February, or even January, you've got guys that you don't even know right now that are watching you, listening, and they're going to be healthy this time next year because you do this. And 2,153 guys have a heart attack every day, guys and gals, actually. And they're like us, 40, 50, 60, but they're like us. It's not them anymore. It's like, yeah, it's us. And you got to realize that if you make the change, you will make a difference. 70% of people right now in America are suffering from preventable illness. They're literally digging a grave with a fork and knife and a sofa cushion on their butt.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody who makes this change inspires somebody else to do it, especially people who are writers or speakers or radio or who have, other people watching them. And when they see it, they can start to really believe it. And people make the change when they believe they can be successful.
And that's, a lot of my entrepreneurial journey for the many, many years. I was inside radio working for somebody else and I was kind of forced into my current situation where I just had to provide for the family, and that's been all consuming. That's been my big why as of late. And a lot of what happened because of that is, now I have to get around, like you said in the beginning, building a business takes a good, healthy body, and we got to get there.
And I think when you're younger, you have some punch for that. Like you said, you've got that oomph,
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, the people that I know that are successful in business, especially entrepreneurship, you can get ideas, but if you don't have ideas to take that take that idea to the moon and bring it back, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
So a lot of entrepreneurs forget that they run out of energy, and if they don't have the energy, they can't, get it done, and then they end up getting behind and getting beat. So the entrepreneurs that I know in the 40s, 50s, even 60s around here, we have people in the up to 72 that are getting incredible results. We see that they're just become more successful. So it's sometimes you don't invest in your business skill, but invest in your energy. And we saw the same thing in kids. There was a lot of studies with high school kids with their education and their standardized scores in math and science. They saw the kids, the more exercise they got, the better they did on their standard aptitude tests. And you would think it'd be more studying, but it's the same with an entrepreneur. At some point, you can't give what you don't have. And entrepreneurs got to give their energy to what they're doing. They got to give their intensity, and, give their joy to it, give their positivity, and you're always trying to make an impact and engage your customer or your listener or your audience, and energy. Mm-hmm. What you get first and foremost from doing this. And I think that you would do great, especially with previous body for life experience. You'd be off to the races,
buddy. I still have the exercises memorized.
Yeah. Oh my God, isn't it great?
Yeah.
That all fitness gadgets and all these diets and all these fads and frauds and all the fiction comes and goes, but what still works is, what's perennial wisdom, which is a truthful way to strengthen the body, increase the metabolism, get it to burn more fat, get it to make more energy. And now we know that it's real medicine for preventing heart disease, preventing a lot of lifestyle cancers. There's like 16 forms of lifestyle cancer that you can almost wipe off for your probability chart if you are maintaining healthy eating. And I didn't say dieting, but healthy eating and exercise. All the diets have come and gone. Yeah. What's still there is that if you can eat frequent meals, balanced nutrition, get the nutrients up, get the calories down, make sure that you're fed, make sure you get your water, and do your exercise to stimulate, not annihilate yourself. You shouldn't get wiped out from a workout. You should get a pump from a good energy pump. Mm-hmm. Half hour of exercise, 5 days a week. Then, feed yourself. And I tell people there's 5 action steps. 1, you got to work out. You got to plan your meals. 2, you got to talk to somebody about what you're doing every day. Have a community or have workout partners. And the next thing you do is you got to start thinking about it. Think back. What did I do yesterday that I can learn from? What did I do that helped me? What did I do that set me back? But if we engage our mind and we learn and start paying attention, be mindful, okay, this is where I did well yesterday. This is one thing I can improve on. Then go forward tomorrow. I'm going to plan tomorrow, plan my meals, plan my workout, and plan to focus on one thing that I realized I could do better tomorrow. You constantly learn. Mm-hmm. And so then you're growing. And so how do we get out of shape for not thinking about it? Not one person who's ever sat across from this table at my desk here and said, Bill, this extra 80 pounds I put on is the result of a meticulous, well-executed plan. And I said, well, no, how did you get up to 250 pounds? And they're like, I don't know. Doctors, lawyers, entertainers, officers in the military, brilliant women and men of all shapes and sizes from all over the world sit right across from me. And I say, they said, never thought it happened to me. And it was an accident. Yep. I said, you didn't do it intentionally. You got to understand that where we're going to get out of this is completely the opposite approach. We have to do it intentionally. We have to get out of it thinking and being mindful. We got into it by being careless. So I ask you to do 2 steps every day. Mind has the ability to look forward and plan, envision a healthy day ahead. Mind has the ability to look back and say, well, what can I learn from what I did? Okay. So you're constantly learning and you're constantly giving yourself reward. And that goes back to what I said. When I started getting in shape, I said, man, I can't wait for 6 months. I can't even walk right now. I got to start feeling good now. And so I gave myself credit for everything I did, threw away the peanut butter. Hey, check mark. Did 10-pound curls 10 times. Hey, check mark.
Small shifts.
And huge changes come from those little action steps.
Yeah.
The action steps, those 5 action steps: work out, plan your meals, have some support that you can give, a place where you can give and receive support. Think it through backward, think it through forward. You do those 5 things every day, or even 5 days out of 7. The odds of you being successful are 100%. The prognosis is incredibly good. It takes more time than people think. I thought I was going to get back in shape, Jim, when I'm doing 12 weeks.
Because that was the plan.
Yeah, it took me 6 months.
Yeah.
People overestimate how much they can change in a month, and everybody underestimates how much they can change in a year. Unbelievable things are possible in a year. These folks right here, I won't show up too much of these, but this is some students that I had in here, and this is them now. This is them.
They were in the video, yeah.
Yeah, and 350 pounds, former Body for Life folks, 100 pounds in a year. And this intelligent people in promotions and attorney, and it just, you don't realize that a year's going to go by, and you can look back and say, man, I'm glad I did. Because the other opposite is that, you'll be looking back going, I wish I would have. And the only regret that everybody has, and you'll have it 6 months from now when I talk to you and say, damn, man, you look like you're 33 now. You look like you're a younger brother. And the doctor's going to say, you're so much healthier. Your wife's going to say, geez, you really did it. You're going to say, I wish I would have done it sooner. It's the only regret that people have. And you know what? As you get a little older than you, I'm 54, you realize that God's got a plan. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. But there's a reason for everything. Sometimes the reason, they're too stupid to walk down the stairs without falling. No.
Yeah. Those little things kind of wake you up. And I mean, like I said, it kind of transformed who you are. And
I've got a love for fitness back. I know that being able to move and being active is a real blessing. And having been in a hospital bed, a wheelchair for 6 months, I'm grateful for every step. I'm grateful for every rep. I don't have the strength in my legs that I used to, but I got more strength in my heart.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell me about the program that you're doing, though. I mean, it's a virtual right out of your studio there. Some people fly in and then take it home, but can somebody... go ahead. Yeah,
we have 2 things that we're doing now that are unique. One is we have a transformation camp, and it's like a 3 or 4 day intensive. People come in from Canada, Colorado, California, Nashville, and England, Australia, even had somebody from Latvia a couple months ago. People come in and most all of them have a Body for Life background at some point, maybe 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. And so we kind of connect as being people that are wanting to get back to that, but we realize that we got to get forward to that. We're not going to go back to being in shape. We're going forward to being in shape.
Yeah.
And we spend time together, about 30 people, and it's just really powerful. We've done 77 of these camps in the last 6 years, and 3,000 people come through here. And to be able to spend time with people, work out with people, we have dinner together, lunches together, breakfast together. They get so sick of me by the time they got I was so excited to meet Bill Phillips when I got here. He's looking in their window. Are you eating fast food? Did you get room? they're like, God, I can't wait to get out of here. Jesus, bugging me. But you got Bill Phillips on your side. We put science on your side, and then you get the team and a community on your side. And like I was saying is that when I was sick and I was trying to get back on my feet, man, I couldn't believe how many people were there to support me, and I had to be open to receiving it. But it was powerful. I was like, I don't want to let them down. I want to do a good job. Plus, there's a lot of emotional energy that you need when you're down. It's not just all physical strength to get up. But we spend 4 days together. Then they go home, and then we keep these Facebook groups, and we have some wonderful people, wonderful teams. We bring people back, and we do something nowadays where we do all their lab testing, blood tests, cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar. We do DEXA, body composition analysis, and we do their metabolic rate, measure the metabolic rate by oxygen exchange. So it's real scientific, and we bring them back we like to see them again in 6 months and a year, and the changes they make are incredible. Muscle going up, fat going down, metabolism going up. That means energy is going up. And we put together a scientific study on that and really proven that, this working out stuff is medicine. Mm-hmm. Exercise is medicine. The Body for Life program protocol is medicine. And it is very powerful in preventative medicine and early treatment of high blood pressure, early treatment of heart disease, save your life, and it's everybody that does it has the reward of knowing that I earned it because it's a lot of hard work. And then we also have a program on Facebook where we just most months we start a new workout plan, and we work out for 28 days, and we teach nutrition, and then we do a live workout. So I've got from my gym here, I work out with hundreds of people from around the world live, and they get sick of working out with me too.
Being that the podcast is based on marinating your mind in a lot of good stuff, of course, marinating our bodies in good stuff is a key essential to being successful with this. Getting you through that time, what did you absorb? Because mindset is a big part of it, like you're talking about. What did you who do you listen to presently that keeps you going?
Yeah.
Does anybody come to mind?
Yeah, I think anytime that you're over 40 and that you're knocked down and you have to, your self-identity, especially, for any of us, it's not just for me, but I mean, we all in our 20s and 30s kind of depend on our strength and our oomph, to kind of get us. But when your identity starts to get fractured and you realize that you're vulnerable and that in some areas you're weak, and that we're all the same in this, it kind of opens up this idea that what's beyond the body, the emotions, thoughts, mind, and what is spiritual, And for me, I listened to a lot of stuff. I had a mentor named David Hawkins, not Stephen Hawking, David Hawkins, who was a brilliant, sweet guy. He wrote a book called Power versus Force. And he had the advantage, his perspective, he was a psychiatrist for 60 years. He was a physician for 40 years, a statistician, a Buddhist mystic and a Christian mystic, and had multiple near-death experiences, and for decades was hopelessly addicted to drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And he got to this point where he lived in Sedona. He came back from Manhattan, and he would let me sit with him while he rolled his handmade cigarettes in his patio in Sedona, and it's 110 degrees. Beautiful view, though.
No bad.
He would talk to me, and he would, and I would just be a sponge. When I get to be around elders, I have this reverence, and I just soak it up, and they can kind of feel that I'm there to learn, and that's and they are able to transmit, because I'm open. I don't have any biases towards or against religion or money or people of any walk of life,
Mm-hmm.
And he said something. He said, Bill, he said, you're an important person. You're here for a very important reason. He told me something the Native Americans also teach. He said, he goes, you got to realize that, you have the power to change the world. You have the ability to transform the world, starting with yourself. Transform your corner of the world is a big responsibility. And he said, you have the ability, but he said, you have the responsibility. And I was starting to think I'm mighty special. I'm thinking, dang, if I could get up on this walker and click my heels together, I'm special. Mm-hmm. And he goes, you have the ability, you have the responsibility to make changes in your life that make a difference in the lives of others. And I was going, man, it's pretty heavy. I got a big task. He goes, just like everybody else. But then he explained, he goes, it's an Indian tradition. He said, only a human being can change a course of life like that with a decision, with a motive, with a decision. All these other billions of forms of life have to count on evolution, count on adaptation. But a human being can be going this direction and then just slash and go this direction. And you don't see people acting like that's true very often. But in my line of work, I've seen changes that are every time I think I've seen it all, I see something new. And it's unbelievable the difference one person can make. And he said that's not just your ability, that's your responsibility. And I don't think very many people really consider that. Because if you can transform your health, your habits, your circumstances, and be an example to somebody else, and that positively affects them or decreases their suffering. Some suffering is fruitful, but most suffering is fruitless. He said, then if you can, then you must. And he did, he really talked about how that was a responsibility in that there was a karmic penalty for not doing it. Mm-hmm. And I've really thought about that a lot. And it probably is the thing that gets me up and moving at least one day every week when I can't figure out why I'm doing this, when I can be sitting on the beach in Hawaii drinking pina coladas and getting so tan I get skin cancer or whatever. But I tried retirement, and it just didn't fit. So I really I've kind of surrendered to the notion, Jim, that if this can make a difference for even one person, and it eliminates the suffering, then you're doing what you're made to do. And I encourage people to consider, is it an ability that you have to change, or is it a responsibility that you have to change? And I think that some people, as we get older, we realize that life's not about us, even though we're special, so is everybody else. We're all the same. And there is a responsibility to do something and fulfill your calling. And I'm telling you, when it all is said and done, the only thing that's ever going to matter, and if you look back, and hopefully we all live a good long life, and we can look back, and our satisfaction is only going to be judged by one thing: is make the world a better place.
Did you improve somebody else's life or change it for the better?
Yeah.
I would think it's an unequivocal yes in your situation.
Oh, I don't know. I think that you got to realize is that 70% of people in our society, in our nation, are suffering from preventable illness. And the doctors, can only treat you once you become chronically ill or critically ill. And people can change before they get sick and get well before they get sick. And they'll do it because somebody else did it. The example, the inspiration, not because somebody told them to do it or forced them to do it, but because somebody led them. And your example, again, you can't even imagine what it will be, but you'll look back and you'll say, maybe that's why I did it. Because for us on the surface, we probably don't really care if we, get the girl at the beach for getting rock hard abs and stuff. And that used to keep me motivated for a whole summer. Now I keep me motivated for about a half hour.
It's got to have a longevity to it, and that's, maybe it was fleeting for a reason in my life, but I wish it would come back around where it would get me out of bed every morning, but it gets more and more difficult for me. And, maybe this is it, man. Maybe you're like, well, man, I'm going to get you every 2 weeks in your face and Jim, get off your ass.
Got to get you out to the camp.
I'd love it.
I'll send you some notes on that. And when you get to the camp, you get a good health screening, and then you see the opportunity to improve your health. And that's, it's wonderful because it's very expensive to be sick today,
Yeah.
We don't even realize how expensive it is to be sick. I heard a doctor who was here to explain that, a heart attack that you survive, which hypothetically be a good one, is like $750,000. Yeah. And, prevention is a fraction of that, but, if we can invest in being well, we don't have to pay for being sick.
It's funny that you bring that up. We have a guy working for us in the lighting side, Big Dot Lighting, who's our operations manager, and he's just an amazingly intelligent, smart dude, but he had a widowmaker heart attack at 34 years old that just, annihilated their finances. And thanks to our business and him being a part of it and bringing value to the company, he's doing a lot better financially than he has in a long time. And I've told him, I said, my why for this business is obviously to make our financial positions, all of us, better. We all want to do that. But ultimately, I said, now I almost have like a new why. I said, I want your family to be prosperous. I want you to be better. And that's my personal why. Even my business partner has the same kind of, we want to see this. We want to take care of them, man. We, build that culture. And it's very powerful for us. Of course, we want to do right by our customers, but also take care of our culture within the organization.
I think we realized that in the, maybe in the past, there's a term, job creation, that became kind of a new part of the vernacular in the last decade. But any entrepreneur that doesn't understand the importance of their role in job creation, if you can create a job that is, if you can create a job, you're part of the solution, and you should. Yeah. And so entrepreneurs have when I talked about having a responsibility, just, and that was another thing my mentor talked about. He goes, you can create a job, you should create a job. You can, lead. If you can come back from this injury and inspire somebody else coming back from an injury, then you should. Then it's your responsibility. And it really feels like it when you kind of fulfill that, when you see that you're helping build, none of us has to do it at all. And just because you can't change everything doesn't mean you can't change something. And because you can't help every person doesn't mean you can't help one person. And when you do, I just think that there's a universal reward. Actually, I know it's a universal law that, if you can, then, you got the responsibility to do it. And people need a good culture, a good opportunity to work and be productive, and the moral character that comes from productive work, just doesn't come from anywhere else.
And I've found that since, on the entrepreneurial journey that I've been on, that I think I was just destined for a long time ago, but I had to go through what I went through in order to get here. When I marinated my mind in good stuff, good things tended to happen. We still had bad things and hiccups happen, but they were less prevalent. I got the politics out of my life. I stopped, big part of my radio career was with, talk radio in Las Vegas. And, I was an Alex Jones fan and it's,
Alex Jones. I did my Superstition tour back in, but when I got out of business and retired the first time when I was like 35, I went on the World Superstition tour. It's like, I want to know what the hell's going on around here.
Sure. But it did nothing for me. It did nothing. I tell people all the time, I said, people who argue on Facebook about politics, about anything, and I'm like, what are you getting out of this? Out of all the stuff you're arguing about that you have no control over,
I was so knee deep in superstition, and then I thought, dang, man, I'm going to figure this out, with Tip of the iceberg, on the coast to coast, and
coast to coast, right? Yeah, Art Bell.
I was thinking that was a college course, and I was taking notes, and then I'd go to some of the seminars in like Joshua Tree and stuff, because I was like I had a hunger for knowledge, who these aliens and who is the conspiracy, and the problem is with superstition is that some of it, a little bit of it's true.
Yeah, and but again, I preach to people, why concern yourself with stuff you have little control over?
At the end of the day, it just doesn't mean anything.
Just 360-degree sphere around you, man. That's it. That's all you have control over.
Yeah. And Stephen Covey, anybody who doesn't read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits is missing out. Anybody who doesn't reread it, who's read it before, is missing out. Because Stephen Covey was just the practical wisdom that he transmitted, so valuable, and God bless him, rest his soul. And he would say, he goes, well, we're all spiritual beings having this physical experience, this human experience, this physical human body experience, although we're of a source beyond the body, obviously. And I always thought, yeah, let's have a good one.
Yeah.
He goes, we're having spiritual beings having a physical experience. Good. Yeah. Let's have a good one. Let's have a good physical experience. Let's not have overly painful or fruitless suffering. Let's have a good physical experience.
Not have to take selfies from an upward position, that kind of thing.
Hey, man, anybody who takes a selfie at all is still in the game.
So
a selfie now is a before picture.
Yeah. Where can people find and follow you, Bill, these days?
You can go to transformation.com, and that will give you our resources where we can be found on Facebook.
Right.
We are on Facebook all over the place, and it's really so easy to connect with us. You can go to Bill Phillips on Facebook or transformation.com, and then you'll find where you can link to us, and you can see some of our free videos. But no matter what path that someone takes to enrichment or personal growth or just the transformations in life, I really believe that if you go from a place where you can get a foundation on your fitness and use fitness as medicine, there's a lifestyle that we call fitness that is preventative medicine, and we see more than ever. We used to think it was kind of fickle or fanatical, or you were a health nut or a fitness freak. Now, if you can find that balanced place where you don't go to the extremes, like I experienced when I was younger, and you can find a place where it means something to you in terms of how you could maybe inspire someone else to be a little bit healthier, could save their life. And it also allows you to be more grounded and to live your full lifetime. We're not saying you can live forever, but I think that everybody has a lifetime, everybody has a calling, everybody has a purpose, and to kind of go before your time is like aborting the mission. I think if you have one decision that you could make to get yourself more grounded and have good medicine coming to you every day, it's just to do a half-hour workout. Lift the weights like Embody for Life. Get on this treadmill and walk for a half hour. It's all medicine. And from there, you'll draw in the healthy eating. And from there, you'll draw in taking just a few vitamins that are effective. And then you start to think differently. And then you maybe surround yourself and marinate in a community of other people who are making challenging, healthy changes. Doesn't mean that we're all there. Nobody's ever there. We're all just on the path. But if you can get yourself rooted in a lifestyle that goes back to that basic core workout, it's not going to, you'll never look back and say, well, dang, I'm sorry I worked out today. I'm sorry I ate healthy today. It can't be a quick fix. There's no 6-week diet that works. We've seen all the tricks played with these low carb diets and all these crazy low calorie diets and things. You can you can lose weight, but it isn't what we're talking about. Yeah. There's faster ways to lose weight than what we teach, but there's not better ways. You don't want the fast way. The fastest way isn't the best way, and the best way isn't the fastest. We talk about being slim slow. Lose a pound a week. Stay with it for 6 months. And we'll be looking at you right here, you and me together.
Hey, well, let's do it, man. You know, I'm kind of getting fired up talking about it. And it's, you know, once you kind of frame it as, 5, 6 days, I mean, the same thing that I was normally used to, but I'm trying to figure out what burned me out. It was just, it was, planning my meals was just like, my gosh.
Yeah.
It's
the number one habit of highly fit people.
it's 80% of the plan right there is your nutrition.
Yeah, we say that you got to give working out 100%, nutrition 100%, mindset 100%. Mm-hmm. And being in a supportive community, whether you have some contact, a conversation like this that's only 4 minutes long, every day will keep you focused on it. Otherwise, it goes on the back burner. Mm-hmm. And we somehow have a brain in the modern world where things that are urgent seem important. But not everything that's urgent is important.
Right.
And the things that are important sometimes don't seem like they're up here in the priorities. So if we have somebody to talk to each day, and we have wonderful communities in our Facebook groups, you put it right there in front of you. You keep it in front of you. You keep a good, balanced, humble, courageous mindset towards it. We're humble because we recognize, hey, I need some help making some changes. We're courageous because we step forward and change before we have to. And the teamwork and the camaraderie with other humble, courageous people means everything. And it'll help everybody get on the right path. And we could see you, 6 months from now, just really just so glad that we had this talk for an hour, and so glad that you were persistent. And I just really I felt like that I could learn from talking to you. You're going to help me set up BeLive, and I'm going to have a better broadcast myself. Sure. Yeah, no, I'll help you get fit, man. You've done it before, you can do it again.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. And I'm going to wrap it up because we're going on an hour 20 at this point, and I know you're a busy man, so I want to say thank you so much for being on this week's Weekly Primer, the JMVO Weekly Primer. Guys, if you're listening, please let me know. Reach out if you have a guest in mind of interest that you'd love to see on the program. Let me know. Of course, we're always up for sponsorship. If you want to sponsor the program, you got a business, hit me up. I got to be putting that message out a lot more. Follow us, like us, subscribe, rate, comment at we've got our own Facebook page as well, the JMVO Weekly Primer Facebook page. And of course, if you
got a great Alex Jones voice.
He's got a really raspy voice.
If you went outside and hollered for an hour, you come back and
he sounded a lot different in his 20s, man. I mean, he's like, "How you doing? I'm out." He's like this. I would rather the nice Don LaFontaine voice, the in a world. That's the kind of voice I'm going for. But of course, go to jimmccarthyvoiceovers.com/podcast. That's where you can find all things and subscribe and all that stuff. Bill, thank you for being on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me share, and I look forward to seeing you. We'll talk to you
6 months later. This is the JMVO Weekly Primer. Please subscribe, rate, and comment via jimmccarthyvoiceovers.com/podcast.